Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast. This is Vicky, as expected, and thank you for coming to episode 16, where we are talking about some tips, some tricks, not the April Fool's kind of tricks, but just some good little tips and tricks and awesome wisdom. So definitely want to stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicky Sharon, and thank you for joining me. All right, so tips, tricks, awesome wisdom. I got loads of it, and I'm going to give you a few of my top favorite little nuggets that you can take right now, directly implement, whether you're just starting out or maybe a seasoned faster, way deep in the fasting game, and you're like, I'm stuck or I'm struggling with this, that, or the other. I got you. So if I were to compile all my best little nuggets of tips, tricks, and awesome little wisdom nuggets, as I like to call them, first and foremost, the biggest number one thing, if you've listened to any of my previous podcast episodes, you would know I talk about my three pillars. The biggest and probably most heaviest one is actually surprisingly, your why obviously has got to be massive, but your passion, your zest, and finding something that you can always go to have that cathartic mental release. And I say that as my first tip because, of course, we want to be fluent in the method. Of course, we want to have a solid reason why. And those things are great, absolutely, to get you stepping through that gate. But once you step through that gate, it's almost like you're standing at a cliff, right? You're standing at a precipice and you're like, all right, what the hell am I going to do now? How do I keep going? What? You just kind of like deer in headlights. You have one of those moments. So if I could impart my first little wisdom nugget on you. So here you go. Bloop. Here's a little wisdom nugget. Having that playful, loving, fun mentality and just overall demeanor outlook for this entire process. Going into this, obviously with the knowledge of the method that you're going to be choosing, knowing that it's going to be flexible, it's going to change along the way, it's going to grow, it's going to move, and it's going to adapt as your losses progress. Right alongside with that solid, really good, deep, friggin' massive reason why you're doing this. You got to have that zest, that extra little if Austin Powers fans, you got to have your mojo, right? You got to have that magic, the zest in the cushion, the little magic fairy dust, I guess, if you want to call it, to give you that extra zhuzh, to give yourself that lasting power to stay the course when things get hard and tough. Of course, you can always resort back to your why. You can resort back to knowing the scientific breakdowns of the method and why it works, and understanding that can be great proponents to keep you on the path to where you need to go. But having the ability to have such a fiery passion for this entire process and everything that's going to continue to come along with it is going to make all the difference. So what I mean by that, for example, for me, along this process, my passion, my zest, and just little, my magic sauce, I guess if you want to call it your magic sauce, has grown and evolved so much, but it still allows me to keep elements of me all along the way. So just starting out, I knew and had things that I enjoyed doing. Like when I first started out at the time. I don't do it so much now, and folks watching or have maybe seen some of my stuff recently. I've made a lot of friends through this app, and I'm sorry I haven't been on it for quite some time, but life and school and work and everything gets busy, which I love everything that I do. I just haven't had the time to devote back to that. But when I first started out, I needed something to just mentally check out. And where I was at the time, I found this app called Smule, and it's a karaoke app. So folks that have known me for quite some time know that I love karaoke, and I'm usually the first sober one on stage, just belting it out. Well, this app is awesome. Not that I'm sponsored by them by any means. I'll give a link to it in the description if you're interested. If you're that ooh, I've always wanted to do karaoke. You can do it on an app, and you can do it with people around the world. It's the coolest thing. So it's called Smule. When I first started doing it, it was Sing by Smule, and then it was just Smule. But I'll send all the links and everything below. So you go on there. You can either do recordings by yourself, or you can join lives with other people and do we're doing this, where somebody would hop on and you would do a live karaoke with someone. Such a fun time, and I did that so much along my journey, and I remember I would be doing it many nights. While my late husband, Jim, would be trying to sleep or whatever, and the kids would be asleep, and I'd have my headphones in, and he'd come over and tap me on the shoulder Vicky, you're too loud. But I did the karaoke app for a while. I did, additional painting kind of live sessions I remember doing for a while. Honestly, finding hobbies maybe that you haven't been able to do or practice or be a part of, hanging out with people that you enjoy that maybe you haven't had a chance to before, as long as it doesn't focus and center around food. If it's at the end of your eating window and you're just oh, I want to occupy some time, or maybe you want to help to keep yourself in that extended fast, however you want to work it. But honestly, having that playful, almost childish, get to your inner child. Let your inner child come out throughout this process, because that vulnerability, that openness, and just enjoyment for the magic, again, your inner magic sauce that's happening throughout this journey, and having fun with it. And this is going to be compounding on top of your journey that you can reflect back on when you reach your maintenance and you're just looking back and reflecting, like I have been just so often along the way. And we have to have these moments where they're so memorable because this is our life. This is your story, your journey, and it's nothing to be rushed. So that just kind of segues into my second little tip for you. Do not rush this process. Do not hurry it. Do not wish for it to be quicker. Do not try to hurry it along any more than it's naturally going to go, because this process takes time. And with this dedicated, focused time in healing that's going on inside your body, it's something that is going down to a deep, deep cellular level. And having these moments, like I just talked about in the previous tip, having these moments where you are so not fixated on, oh my gosh, I wish I could just shed this, or I wish I could just look this. Take your mind off of that and find your, as you know, my late husband used to say, go to your happy place, right? Go to your, where's your happy place, so that you don't hyperfixate on, why isn't this working yet? Why am I not seeing a difference? Why aren't these insert, excuse. We got to get away from that negative association, that negative connotation, and thinking that, the way that broken diet culture, and I'll keep repeating this because my new favorite phrase, not new, but it's my current favorite phrase, broken diet culture will tell you and make you feel that it needs to be hurry. X amount of pounds you can shed in a month, 2 months. Oh my God, look like this person. Man, stop it. Stop the rushing. This life, this existence, this presence time that we have on earth is nothing to be rushed. We have to enjoy and soak up and really revel in every mundane, lame, silly, boring ass thing. Celebrate the moments of victory and just, be present in those really hard moments as well. So take the time, appreciate the time that you've got. Again, going back to the first tip, with this time that we've got, go back to your hobbies, maybe take the time to reflect a lot and just being as present as you can along this whole process. I say that because I have my little fasting notebook here that I always keep with me. It's got a nice little like pen holder in there too. And this is actually where I write down all my episodes whenever they come to me. And it's usually like just as I'm going to bed. So if you're that type of person that likes to, and I've got them both. Like I got the digital notes filled to the point where I had to print them out recently since I'm working on my book right now. So I printed them all out, but I still have just like laundry lists of just things that I want to share with you guys, whether or like make into a podcast episode. But having these moments of awareness while we're in that creative flow is actually the term for it. So we're in that kind of happy place flow state, and it allows us to really appreciate, and that's when time is going to fly. That's when time is just going to pass by so quickly because you were having fun, because you were enjoying this process and being as present as you can, and bringing, again, if you were an emotional eater like I was, doing these things are going to help you to remove that obsession and I'm bored, so let me go to the kitchen and eat. We need to knock that off. Like this is the tough love hat is on right now. Like, we don't need to eat. If you're bored, go find something to do that you're going to just like maybe giggle about. Reconnect with a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Go do something maybe that you've wanted to do for a while. If you have a chore that you've been wanting to get to, make your chores fun. And I've talked about this before where as an 80s child, like growing up, we obviously didn't have computers and social media and everything. My mom, I very, very vividly, and I implement this with my own kids, and they tell me all the time that they love it. Anytime I'm cooking or cleaning or just hanging around, I almost always have the TV off. We rarely have the TV on, very rarely. I'm always having some kind of music on. So my kids have always said Spotify is my boyfriend because it knows me. I have like this long list of like songs that I'll just go through phases and stuff. And they'll just put on the music and we'll crank it. We'll either have dance parties throughout the house or like silly, playful times, whatever, like just making the best out of the time that you've got. That's going to make time fly by while also allowing you to really be absorbed and present in this entire experience overall. And it is so beautiful because, yeah, of course that's the flow and of course that's your happy place, right? But it also helps to recalibrate your thoughts, feelings, beliefs towards those maybe previous broken toxic habits, relationships, towards food, towards eating in general. And it starts to like almost like dismantle like a slow piece of Velcro that's just kind of like coming up. Sorry, that was kind of a gross sound. Sorry about that. So like a Velcro like piece coming apart and just dismantling that broken relationship with emotional eating, if that was you, or, thinking boredom or attaching it to trauma or whatever the issue is. It's going to help you to recalibrate and fix a little bit at a time. So being aware, I can't say enough about that. It's having that overall presence. With that, just beautifully segues right into my next little trick for you. So I've talked about this before. I did a whole episode on it, but I'm going to talk about it again because that is how important it is to me and my process and my journey. So along my journey, I would probably say maybe like 2 months or so after becoming a widow, I was a part of I still am part of this group. So the group is like for dark humor, because that's the type of humor and personality and relationship that me and Jim had. And we had like anybody that also knew Jim, they knew that he did that like offensive kind of jokes and humor that like, ooh, but it just was like, oh, I'm like laughing at like awkward, weird, uncomfortable things. But anyway, this group was talking about this book and I remember seeing it mentioned. And I looked it up, and at the time I had just gotten into getting Audible because I had listened to another audiobook called The Hot Widows Club by Nora McInerney, which is an awesome, awesome book, and that helped me tremendously. And she's also done a bunch of other books that I really enjoy. So On a side note, I guess an added little thing. If you're a fan of listening to books, I'm going to highly, again, not sponsored, but I'll add the link in below. Definitely highly recommend listening to books on Audible. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, then chances are you're probably going to also enjoy listening to audiobooks on Audible. I wish I had one of those like, hey, free link code discount or whatever. I'm not quite at that level, but hey, Audible, by chance, if you want to sponsor me, that would be great, because that would help help my audiobook addiction. But anyway, after I listened to the Hot Young Widows Club, I think is what it's called, and then she had another one. It was like Terrible, Thanks for Asking. I found this other book that probably has superseded the other ones that I thought those were my favorite books. This one just has shadowed them. And for those of you that have consulted with me before, have probably heard me mention it, because I've mentioned it a lot, and I'm going to mention it again because it's an awesome, epic, and amazing book, and I'm surprised I don't have it beside me, because I usually do when I talk. It is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, and I will also link any links to his stuff below. Mark Manson wrote this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Truly, that's the name of the book. It's amazing. And when I listened to that book, it just kind of opened the doors for me in a big way, in just overall understanding of not just a mindset shift, kind of recalibration to help me to realize that playing the victim mentality and realizing that, like, everything may be, quote unquote fucked, but having this self-preservation to not, as he said, it's so poignant, but it's clever and just raw, real, in your face. And that was just like, it was what I needed. To not, as he said, don't give your fucks away, and preserving the energy for what you care about, and how beautifully it segued into the different topics and stuff. So without going into it too much, because I don't want to, not that it's like, ooh, I'm going to give it away, but like truly, you got to listen to it and absorb it for yourself. And on a side note, like the author, Mark Manson, actually doesn't narrate The Subtle Art of Giving a Fuck. He actually has a guy narrate it. His name is Roger Waters or Walters, I don't remember, but man, the narration of this book is amazing. And if you look on the Audible, just read the reviews of it, because the narration of it is amazing. And when you do read it, if you do, talk to me about how you feel about the disappointment panda. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the book that he talks about. So the disappointment panda is awesome. But anyway, the point I was trying to make with mentioning The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is that the exposure and the discussion that Mark has with talking about the practices of Buddhism, and just in general with how tapping at practices like awareness, like meditation, but he doesn't say it like directly in a, hey, we're going to talk about like Buddhism philosophies and ideologies and things like that. It's very like, it sees, okay, instead of seeing it as a label as this is Buddhism, he removes that and just like, okay, practicing that awareness for your situations, realizing that you don't have to give your energy and time and attention to things that you don't care about. Like, don't waste your time doing things that you're not passionate about. And talking about just the importance of being present as much as possible is an incredible component that he discusses as well. It's just an amazing read, and I highly advocate if you're like, man, I just need kind of like, if you ever wanted a book to like give you a swift kick in the ass and make you feel like all warm and squishy at the same time, that would be a book. He does have a follow-up book to it, which is equally as good. It's a great, like, this is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And then like his follow-up is Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. So yeah, the guy likes to swear. So if you're like sensitive to hearing curse words and stuff, that might not be the book for you. But if you can handle a colorful embellishment word or two, definitely highly recommend. And like follow him and all that stuff too, because he's great. He's a great, again, like not sponsored, not anything like that. I'm just sharing what has been an enjoyable enrichment kind of nuggets of wisdom. See, I gave you another one, nugget of wisdom for me along my journey. And if you're interested in more kind of wisdom with Buddhist ideologies and philosophies and just general ways of life, again, not that I don't see, like on a side note, without going too far down the rabbit hole here, I have resonated a lot with the, again, ideologies, philosophies, and just way of living and practices of Buddhism in general, because of things that I've experienced along the way. And it honestly helped me with meditation and practicing meditation as much as possible. It lets me just kind of quiet the chatter and just really simplify things, because I feel like this world that we've got going on, there's so much stuff coming to us all the time. And for most of us, at least here, me, old Vicky, my grown-ass woman pacifier was food. How can I make the scary stuff go away? Like, scary stuff, go away. It was, hey, what can I shove in my face to, this is good, this is good, this is good, to make me not see what's going on, not hear what's going on, not experience what's going on, not feel what's going on. When in all actuality, we should be as freaking present as possible. We need to see, hear, smell, be, and experience all the good that this life has and all the bad that comes with it, because these awesome, horrible, traumatic, messy, wonderful, beautiful experiences that come to us in our lifetime, we don't know what the timeline of our life. We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know. All we know, I can feel the emotions bubbling up. Sorry, guys. All we know is we are here in this moment. And now this moment is in the past. So we see, like, having awareness and practicing being present as much as possible. And the way that you're going to get there is practicing some form of meditation that works best for you. Like I said, I did an episode 13 covers a great deal about meditation. If you guys are interested in me covering a bit more on meditation, or doing another different kind of meditative practice, or, just specifically without like too much fluff and stuff before, like I did in that episode, I can do that too. Whatever you think is going to work best for you guys. Because again, my whole intent with this is giving you guys everything you need in your toolkit to make sure that you guys are able to rock and just make this life, ride, experience, adventure as beautiful and wonderful, despite the hardships, despite the challenges that come along the way. Because they're going to be, as I've said many times, and you guys have probably heard many times, there's going to be some of the most awesome, beautiful, and wonderful experiences, but we can't expect those to stay forever. We can't expect the happiness to be here every single day. We can work really hard at making things happen for us that are great every single day, but we can't hyperfixate and hold on to one thing to hold us there. Just like we shouldn't do the very opposite, and we shouldn't hold on to these components of our life that are pulling us down and keeping us in this sad, funky, depressed, traumatic, grief, maybe victim mentality headspace, because we know that's not good for us. And I could go grab my textbook right now, because we're covering the effect of stressors and the stress response and your hormones in your body, and how all that relationship, all of it matters, because all these components of our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, attitudes, our physical movement, everything, it is connected. It is a very connected, thorough process, and we have to be aware of that. So that's a long diatribe way of saying meditate, y'all. Like, get into some form of meditation, and don't feel like it has to be perfect, which is segueing right into my next little awesome little wisdom nugget for you. Please, 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 along this whole entire way, having that sense of awareness is going to be essential, because along this journey, it is so important to make sure that you strive for progress, not perfection. Do not ever, if I hear anybody say, I didn't do it like Vicky did, or I wish I could blow like Vicky, I'm going to be like, I'll find, no, where are you at? Let me call you up and let me tell you why. No, that's wrong. Not that it's wrong, but please don't do that. Please don't compare your journey to me. If I want you guys to be inspired and empowered. I don't want to hear anybody this is like mom, I'm putting my mom hat on now. Please don't compare yourself to me. Be inspired by me. Cool. That's what I want. I want you guys to be inspired I want you to be inspired to implement change into your life. I want you to get that fire lit under your butt, but do not feel that it has to be perfect. Have that, as we said in previous little tips and nuggets just a little bit ago, having that playfulness, sense of open-minded growth mindset where I'm going to learn along the way. I'm going to just be playful and explore this process. I'm going to figure out what works for me. I want you guys to have that mentality. Figure out what works for you. If you go along this process and you're like, okay, I'm going to, do what Vicky advised and I'm going to start with a 16-8. Yeah, this is working great, but I don't know. I feel like, adjust it, move it around. It is such a flexible tool, and it can, if you want to up the intensity for a little while, do it, up it for a little while, see how you do. Daily check-ins when you're doing it. Check in with yourself every single day. When you sit up out of bed, before your feet even hit the floor, that's a great opportunity to take like a 1 to 2 minute little meditation before you even start your day. Go, how am I feeling? What's on the docket today? What is, is there anything that is challenging me? Is there anything that I'm already worried about? Is there something that I'm going to be excited? Is there something that I'm going to be looking forward to celebrating today? Whatever. Get excited about the process, but don't feel like it has to be full bore, all or nothing, totally perfect, because when you get that fixation process that it has to be perfect or not at all, that's when you've already lost. Like, that's when you are so susceptible to derailing, and before you know it, it's off the rails. And we get that mindset, y'all, from the broken diet culture. There's like, ding, counter number 2, right? Broken diet culture, ding, 3, will tell you that it has to be, make sure you measure, make sure you count, make sure you do it. Man, stop that. Stop it, because that hyper obsession and fixation over being perfect and making look like it's wet noodle. Stop it. Knock it off, because we got to love this. We have to love the process. Love that you have days that are hard. Love it when you have days that you just have this sail in your back and you're just like, whoa, this is great. This is great. This is so good. You have to love and be as present as possible. It's essential, because that can make or break you. And really, I want you guys to know and feel a sense of empowerment. The longer you stay on this journey, the stronger that fire under your ass is going to be. And you're just going to be like, woo, woo. So you got to wake up with that, as I said earlier in this episode, that zest, that mojo. You're going to wake up and be like, oh yeah, I got today. Oh yeah, woohoo, woo. And you're just a rocking, rolling. And people are going to be looking at you. They're going to see the evolution and change in you. And they're going to be like, hey, Vicky, what's going on? Like, I've had people ask me along my journey, like, what is she up to? Well, something's changing. I'd be like, yeah, I found the fasting sauce. And this crazy lady named Vicky told me all about it. I'm pretending to be you, future you, by the way. And just along that process, that inner sense of discovery and playfulness is going to help you to solidify habits, practices that work for you, to make your journey, make you have that sense of perfection and mastery, I guess. No, side note, we're never done. We're never like know-it-all. I'd never would assume to know it all and be like the hyper master of everything, but have a sense of mastery and really overall understanding of this process to make you, as I like to say, a force to be reckoned with, and just so tenacious in your journey, in your path, in your passion, purpose. People are going to be coming after you and be like, what is she doing? What is he doing? Like, they're looking good, or they've got that extra zest about them in their day, or they're really behaving a little bit differently. Like, what's new about her? What's new about him? What's going on with them? Like, people are going to start looking and wondering like, what's going on? And you can be like, I'm just flexing my fasting muscle. Look at these guns over here. And just having that playfulness, enjoyment for the process. Man, it's a beautiful ride. It is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful ride. And this is my last little bit of wisdom that kind of I've touched upon a little bit before in previous episodes, and I've kind of sort of vaguely danced around it a little bit. So lastly, and probably saving the best little nugget for last, having most importantly, maybe they're all important, but this was like my favorite little thing I wanted to make sure I added right at the end to tie it up nicely in a beautiful little like mwah, chef kiss bow for you. Last little nugget I'm going to give you is we got to practice self-love and compassion. And I don't mean to do that from a fake, oh my gosh, yeah, practice self-love. Not at all. No, I'm talking deep. So along with what I was talking about before is having these moments of reflection, having these moments where you write down and you think about those deep feelings, maybe what brought you to emotional eating in the first place or why you needed to start fasting in the first place. Having the self-compassion, the self-respect, it helps to chip away and rewire the thoughts, feelings, and emotion that goes on in the brain. And one of the best things, and this is one of these things that I started doing before I learned about that it's something that other professionals and medical professionals and people do in general that advocate to foster this within people. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. So one thing I'm going to tell you and advise you to do as well, and I've told other people to do it, sit in front of a mirror. And it's going to get real weird, so get ready. Sit in front of a mirror. Give yourself only a few minutes to start. If you are one of these people, like I was when I started, I had the very, very significant disdain at looking at myself in the mirror. I did not like the way that I looked. I just felt, as I said in my previous podcast, the sense of, just disgust. I was immediately overridden with feelings of disappointment, of disgust, of just complete displeasure. But right now it's hard to pull those emotions back up because I've dismantled them for the most part. Yes, I still have little peaks here and there of, hey, we're a tiny little weed that maybe it's like, I'm just like, yay, get out of there. But when we start to practice these little habits of looking at ourselves in the mirror, start off with like 2 to 5 minutes at first. It's going to get real weird and it's going to be really uncomfortable. But hear me out, y'all. Sit in front of a mirror, whether a makeup mirror, maybe while you're doing your makeup. Look at yourself in your eyes, like the way that you would look at somebody when you're making eye contact and talking to them. And let it get really weird and just look at yourself. And think about the way that you feel. Think about where you are in your headspace, what is circulating in your brain, like how are you truly feeling? Not the, hey, how you doing when you pass somebody going on the street. I'm talking the conversations that you have maybe with your partner, significant other, husband, wife, whoever you reside with, and maybe even deeper than that, things that you don't even tell them, that you keep to yourself. Say them aloud, write them down, be present, think them, let those uncomfortable moments come right to the head, come right up, and address them, call them out. That way it's easier to dismantle them. And from that dismantling, I'm telling you, it truly feels like you've got this gate that opens up, and all of a sudden this little like self-love rose just kind of is like, hey girl, hey, thanks for letting me out now. Finally, I've been under here for so long. Whoa, I wanted to come out of here. It feels like a little inner flower is blossoming out of here. It is the most radical, just amazing, beautiful, empowering sensation that I want for folks. Because although it can be hard to look at yourself in the mirror and see and appreciate who you are, the beauty in our imperfections, the uniqueness and personality traits that maybe were shot down or, talked poorly about by other people that we highly love and respect. Letting yourself know that you don't have to hold on to or keep those. That's some powerful shit. Like, that's some good Dr. Phil stuff, as my late husband would say. Like, there's your Dr. Phil moment, right? So dismantle these things. Don't feel like you have to do it all in one session. Have that kind of, put on whatever kind of relaxing music. If you're like me, you like the weird Tibetan bowls or like the meditation, like, lo-fi sleep kind of music, whatever is going to get you like whoop in that headspace, and see if you can't gradually increase that over time. If you can do that daily, awesome. If you only can do it a few times a week, that's great too. Having those moments where you're really looking at yourself and appreciating, show that love and appreciation for the beautiful, unique, awesome, smart house, intelligent body that you live in, because I'm telling you, along this process, you're going to discover what it can do. I'm getting chills right now. Woo! You're going to discover the beautiful things that it can do and the power that comes from within throughout this process. It feels like the magic sauce is really the best way I can describe it. Incredibly empowering. And again, like I said before, it makes you feel like a force to be reckoned with. And it gives you your zest for life back, is really another beautiful way to describe it. And that's what we really want. Like, we want to enjoy, sorry guys, woo, just bubbled up, peeked right up out of there. We want to enjoy the best life and quality of life that we can for ourselves. We want to do what we love we want to do what we love with the people that we love for as long as we can. But we have to practice. Well, like when you fly in an airplane and they talk about the safety precautions, y'all, who has to put on the mask first? We have to put it on ourselves. You have to fill your own cup before you can do anything else. You have to put your own mask on. You have to practice that inner self-love and compassion before you can be who you need to be in your daily, regular, everyday life and habits and stuff. You've got to give that self-love, and it will come if you show up for yourself. You are worth it. You are worthy of this life, of this health and quality of life. You can make it beautiful. I'm telling you, because as I always say, I truly believe in every single one of you that you can do this. We can break broken diet culture. Bing, that's 4. We can break this broken diet culture away from the stigma and mindset, poor behaviors, counting calories, metrics and measurements, and just hyperfixation on that we're just a data, we're just numbers, and we need to reach this size. Ooh, I can feel the bubbles again with motion, guys. You are not needing to be any of those metrics. Embrace the beauty that is your own unique individual experience on this earth. Whew. Because you are worth it, and you are worthy and deserving of this life. If you work for it, you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. And I'm here. Sorry guys. I'm here and I give support. I do one-on-one consults. I help folks who need this additional support, because you can do this. And I don't just say that all artificially when I tell you guys that I believe in you, even if you don't, because I truly believe it. I truly believe it. You can have a beautiful life. All right. I'm going to give you all a big, warm, squishy Florida hug. I hope you have a great rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. If you need any help, resource, or one-on-one consulting, please reach out to thefastingfocuslifestyle.com, and I'd be more than happy to assist you. And I look forward to seeing you all and connecting with you all again on the next episode. Bye, everybody. The Fasting Focus Lifestyle Podcast. Copyright 2022. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method. Thank you.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.